Trigger emails are a type of email campaign that, structurally speaking, are no different than an email or drip marketing campaign. The primary difference with a trigger campaign is the delivery, the timing, and the targeted message of the content. Trigger emails are, as the name suggests, triggered or sent to an individual in response to an action or event occurring. They can be as simple as an autoresponder email or as complex as a multi-step email communication with personalized content. We're going to walk through adding a trigger campaign to our existing drip campaign. Most commonly, within a drip campaign and within the subject swaps or follow-ups, you will have a call to action. Commonly, when that call to action is completed, they receive an auto confirmation, which would be a trigger campaign. You can see we built our initial campaign, which is going to a specific group at a specific time. We're going to a follow-up, which is based on action or lack of action, people who did not engage with the initial. And now we're going to go ahead and in our third panel, create a trigger campaign. We're going to select New over to the right-hand side, and we're going to begin entering our information. As always, you want to enter a campaign name, so I'm going to call this one Training Trigger. And then we're going to enter a subject line. I'm going to call this one, This is my subject. Again, subject lines, you want to be relevant to the content that the person will be receiving. With a trigger campaign, you do not change the date and time. The date and time will be determined whenever the action or event occurs. If you scroll down, you'll see we have the same options. Some of these options are invalid on a trigger campaign, such as recurring and A/B testing. And if we look a little bit further, we have an additional panel called Trigger Info. You want to make sure that the trigger is active. Instant release means that as soon as the action or event occurs, the person will receive this trigger campaign. If you want it to wait just a moment, then you can uncheck instant release and tell the system to wait X number of days before sending the campaign, and at what time, X number of days, do you want them to receive it. You can also choose to allow duplicates, as well as send a notification. Similar to the email and drip designers, you work our way from left to right. Now, instead of a Send To tab, we have an Exclusion Rules tab. Again, the only people being entered into this trigger are the people who complete the action or event that is tied to the trigger. However, you can still say, don't send it under any circumstances to these particular list or individuals or campaign responses. The Trigger List tab is more of a monitoring tab where you can watch as people are being entered into your trigger campaign, what date and time they received it, and what their status is, and what actions they took on it. You can also manually add somebody into a campaign by typing in their email address here and hitting Add Recipients. You can even add an entire distribution list or segmentation list. Moving over, we have our email HTML, where again you can create from scratch, you can add a template, you can do anything that you need to do here to get your content into the designer. You then come over to convert text, and you would convert your text over, and of course you'd go through the same testing process. Now, one of the main differences here is that there is no Save, Review, and Send screen. The trigger is either active or inactive. If it is active and the action or event occurs, then the person will receive the trigger. If it is inactive, the person will not receive the trigger. The actual tie-in to the action is not done within the trigger. You will do that within the lead analyzer on your scoring profiles or inside the dialogues or whatever action you're tying it to. Click on Save and Return, and you can see how this has now been added to our drip campaign, and that is how you create a trigger campaign.